So we start each one of these episodes like we don't know what we're doing, but clearly episode 27, we know exactly what we're doing, and we have another fantastic guest for you. But before I introduce her, I'd have to introduce myself because I never do that. I'm attorney Kevin, and we are with Parita Patel here this morning. She's the owner of Parita Health, which is a health insurance agency. And no, we're not trying to sell you health insurance because I know and we might be. By the end of the episode, you may be interested in purchasing, but really, we're going to get into it very quickly. But I wanted to talk to her about, number one, she is attracting new agents right now. So we're going to talk about the scaling process, the systems, the things that she goes through. And then the second thing that is incredible is I want to talk to you about empowering women. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Kevin. It's a pleasure. I'm excited to be here and talk about all the things. I've been in the insurance space for about 5 years now, local to Tampa since 2015, but I've been a Floridian pretty much my whole life. But in Tampa, when I first moved here, I had no idea. I didn't have a plan. I was unemployed. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what that meant.
That's common right now. Yeah, a lot of people are just moving to Tampa, and it's like a cool place to live. So and you started, like you were saying, getting in the entrepreneur space?
Yeah, so I had a friend here who was very successful, so he kind of took me under his wing for a minute. I started a jewelry business, believe it or not. I was hand-making jewelry like Edward Scissorhands.
There you go.
I was in 5 boutiques with that product, and then I just realized I hated being on my own. I missed being around people and having a team. I ended up in the fitness space, of all things. So I did that for about 4 years, where I built up a startup, and COVID shut us down. So then that kind of ended up going in the wrong direction. And then the insurance space ended up finding me. I was an Indeed recruit right at the end of COVID when I'm like, all right, I can't be collecting unemployment forever. Let me see what's out there. And they were like, hey, come in for an interview. And I did that. And then I broke every record that the company's ever had. And so the last 5 years have definitely been from like here to like all the way up.
So let me take a step back and shout you out and highlight you, and not to do one of those shameless plugs or anything like that, but you literally, I want to say, within the last 5 years, it sounds like, went from being on unemployment to over $100 million in insurance sales for your agency. Is that correct?
You nailed it.
That's insane. That's absolutely incredible. So my first question is, when you're in this growth phase that you're actively trying to recruit people, how do you attract talent, I guess, is kind of the first question. And then we could go into the analysis of how do you figure out who's going to make it and who's may not reach your standards. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. One thing I've learned about this space is that it's not meant for everybody, especially when you're in sales, right? You have to have that gene. So it's been hard to find the right people. And we noticed that a lot of people don't make it. They don't have the mindset or the work ethic, and they're not willing to do what it takes. They want it easy. My approach thus far has been your general job platforms. Indeed. We tried ZipRecruiter for a second, but social media is something that I'm trying to get out more to attract the right people. But it is definitely very hard to find those people that are ready to change their lives. It's very rare. You don't need a degree of any kind. You don't need special education. You could walk into an insurance, job and just follow the training and do what we teach you to do, and you could start making 6 figures in your first year. So it's a great opportunity, but again, not everybody has what it takes.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing, and I consume a lot of content. I do a lot of reading, and obviously the hot button career is sales. I mean, that's really, what a lot of people are trying to get into. But if you don't have those attributes and the things that I kind of see people posting about, if you're not, somewhat outgoing, if you can't properly articulate yourself, if you can't handle objections properly, if you can't, if you're not behind the product, if you're not understanding the product, there's so much work, I think, that goes even beyond the systems and the things that you probably give your team, that is just social skills that, even though I could give you everything, I could give you the leads, I could give you the script, I could give you, the systems, I could give you the support staff. If you don't have that extra kind of, it factor, may not work for you.
I think that it factor is literally called confidence.
Correct. I agree with you. Yeah.
Most people don't walk around with confidence these days, and especially when you have social media.
They're going to buy or die. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe not.
Until you close them. No. But I feel like people don't walk around with a ton of confidence. They compare themselves. You go on social media. I want that life. I want that car. I want that thing. But am I willing to do what it takes? Am I willing to better myself? Can I wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym so I feel good and I have a great day? People don't do all that. they just talk about it.
I talked about it. Speaking of talking about it, I live it too. I live it. Um, I would I've developed my content over the years, and it's kind of evolved with me. And I call it kind of throwing things out of the boat for, and maybe that's a negative terminology, but you're trying to keep the ship on the right path, and you're trying to and we all have a destination that we're trying to make. And sometimes, there's certain things that, the boat won't float right if there's too much weight on it or too many things, distractions, not having the right, map, et cetera. Not to go too deep in that analogy, but, through probably the last, I would call it 24 months, for me, it's like you said, there's a lot of things that are getting, tossed out of my life. I don't have as much time for friends anymore. I don't have as much time to do certain things, going out, going on vacations, and those things that maybe I used to enjoy earlier on in my career because I'm just so driven and so focused. So it is very, almost military style in the fact of go to the gym, go to the office, hustle, market throughout the day, film some content, et cetera, get home at 6:30, hang out with the kids, eat, bed by 9, do it all over again.
Yep.
And a lot of people are not built out for that because they're too busy planning their Europe trip.
Exactly. And then they get to the trip and they have to count every dollar they spend because their bank accounts can't even afford that trip, right?
Correct.
No, but I don't think it has to be a forever thing. I'm sure you don't want to live like this for the rest of your life.
I talked about that. I called my mom. I have a great relationship, and I actually talked to her about that. And I was like, man, I wonder what this will look like in 10 years.
Right. And I'm sure that you're going to be in an income situation where you can obviously hire out for X, Y, and Z to buy back time to do what you want to do with it. So I know, like, as a woman, you talk about women empowerment, there's not a lot of women in my space.
So
And
let's talk about that. So
yeah,
real quick, let's segment or kind of transition to that. So one of the reasons that I brought you on as well is I loved your message. I'm married to a badass woman. She's a marketing manager and she's an amazing mom. My wife, Christina. And so when I saw your Instagram profile and we connected through a mutual friend about empowering women, I love that. So tell me about that mission, how that came about, and how that affects your space.
yeah. I mean, growing up, my mom always gave me that encouragement, like, you could do anything you want to do. So I had already had that desire to succeed. But when I got into the insurance space, the first message that they gave me was, this is a male dominated industry. Good luck. And I'm like, why? Tell me why. What difference is there between me and a man? It has nothing to do with gender. It has everything to do with my work ethic and my strength and what I want to do, right? So that automatically, I wanted to break that, right? And I did that, right? So I hold not to toot my own horn, but I have the most sales ever done in a year in the private insurance space. It was 5.6 million. I pretty much died that year. I blacked out. I don't remember what happened, right? But I wanted to
We're just
prove.
going to leave that there.
Yeah,
That years. Yeah.
exactly. But I wanted to prove that stigma doesn't have to be a stigma. And since I was able to do that, there are more women in the top than ever before. So I genuinely believe, gender has its place in our society right now, but it doesn't have to define performance or success. So I think women have an even stronger skill set, no offense, guys, than men do when it comes to sales, because we have that natural empathy as future, like, mothers. It's like in our DNA that we care. And when you're in sales, if you care, that will come through naturally versus people trying to fake it. You even look at how men operate their business when they're trying to make sales. My assistant, Elena, is setting an appointment because a woman drops the barrier down for any type of audience when you're trying to, encourage them to buy something. So I think women have that skill set. It's just that we lack that confidence because either we listen to the egos or we listen to the message that, oh, this is for men, not for women. And it's hard for women to break that by themselves. So I'd like to continue to be that voice for them. Like, anything is possible. I had $1,000 in my bank account 6 years ago. That's it, right? And I was in a really bad relationship that I was trying to get out of. It wasn't it for me. But look what happens when you put your mind towards something.
I get it completely. I think I have a quite a few women, I say work for me, but really work with me. I mean, as a part of my team. And I try to do everything I can to not only empower, but rely on them as well because, how I handle things. I'm very, on to the next problem. I'm constantly putting out fires. That's my job. I
Right.
mean, and I'm okay with that. And that's the position that I've accepted. But, I invite them to check me and help me as far as, making sure that I maintain my empathy and my sincerity and the things that, they have these strong points on. And not that that's their only value by any means. And sometimes, it's, one mother talking to another. I have plenty of mothers that work in my office and things like that. It's one mother talking to another mother, or one, young lady talking to another young lady, and things like that. As far as just being able to have those conversations that may not be very comfortable with men. You know what I mean? And that's a common thing as well. I had an elderly client that had some bad injuries and some, lady areas and things like that. And I asked one of the attorneys, I said, "Do you mind kind of speaking to her in more detail?" Not because I couldn't handle the conversation, but I just wanted to make the client more comfortable. You know what I mean? They probably don't want to talk to a man about that. So,
Right.
which is
That's
completely
real.
fine. So, empowering women, how do you use your content in order to do that?
Yeah. I think one thing I'm striving for with my content is to just be as real as humanly possible. And I'm not going to lie, in the space that I'm in, sometimes I have to hold back on some of the tough messages to protect people's egos. Because if I genuinely spoke the truth about what I see behind the scenes, I think that it would cause some chaos. But, when I think about using the content, I mean, I remember one video that I posted because it's not just about men making women feel comfortable, it's about women carrying themselves the right way. I had a video where I talked about what you wear in the workplace. Because some people, I don't know what happened to professionalism, but like, why do you look like you're going to the club?
Yeah.
What kind of attention do you think you're going to pull in? You think that that's empowering women? No, how about I call you out and tell you to put some extra clothes on? You know what I mean? Like, what did I say? I was like, the less clothes you wear, the more of your body that you show, the less of your mind people will see. And I just want them to see that and feel that because you can be, if you're like, oh, I want to be confident, so I'm wearing a certain type of outfit. It's like you could have confidence and feel really sexy wearing professional clothes. Let that power suit speak for itself. So sometimes I think it goes both ways. Like I've heard, men put women down in certain ways, but I've seen women carry themselves in ways that they're allowing themselves to be treated that way.
I think we all, I don't care if you're a man or you're a woman or who you are. I think our image, and we're going to go into that as far as, dressing for success and et cetera, how you carry yourself in any kind of fashion, regardless of your sex, is very important. If you're a man and you show up to work in a hoodie, how do you think you're going to perform that day? If you're wearing, sweatpants, and even if you work I don't care if you work from home. I mean, if you're rolling out of bed, going to your laptop, and you still got the thing on that you wore last night to bed, you're probably not going to perform very well that day. It's just a mental thing. When did you realize that you wanted to be a leader?
So I think leadership is the most important job in the world. And it doesn't matter if you're running a company, have a team, you're a leader if you're a parent, right? Because everything you do, someone's learning from you. And that's what leadership really is. It's to be a guide. Naturally, I felt like I couldn't help myself. I put myself in situations where I think I can do a lot and I know I can help. So I'd like the opportunity to help. I'm very passionate about leadership. What I've struggled is finding other people that are genuine in their leadership. I don't know if I
What does
could.
that mean? Can
I
you break
think
that down for me?
yeah, I think leadership these days, it's kind of a facade for people. They're like, "Oh, I'm in a position where I
It's more
have
about the power than the purpose.
100%."
Yeah.
They're leading with their
See what I
title.
did there? Lawyered. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I'm sure you've read plenty of leadership books. You said
Hmm.
it yourself. Like you talk about the 5 levels of leadership. Level number 1, leading by your title. If you find yourself in a conversation where you're like, I'm this and this and this, so you need to do what I
I'm the
say.
vice president of senior analysis in the tech space of the ABC 123 Co.
Yeah. You're like, give me a break. Don't read your resume to me. It
Don't
doesn't
really
mean
care.
anything. Recently in the last year, I would say there have been times where I've acquired teams. Maybe their leader had stepped down or something like that. And my first message to them is always, hey, I haven't earned, your respect and fellowship yet. And I'm gonna do that. Just because I'm your official leader on paper in the hierarchy doesn't mean anything to me. So usually my first move is let's go out, let's break bread, let's talk, let's be real. How can I help you? I usually ask 3 questions. 1, are you happy? 2, how's your business? 3, what can I do to serve you? And once I have the answer to those 3 questions, I know that I'll be able to do what's necessary to be a leader for that person. That's not what other people do. It's like, oh, I got a team? Cool. Keep making sales so I can earn off of you. You know what I mean? And that's why all these spaces in sales, that's all I see left and right. Someone will read a book, but when it comes time to actually executing what's in the book, 0% of that is happening at all. So it's like, oh, I read this book and you're just saying it because you want to sound awesome. How about you actually follow the principles of what you just read. No one's doing that. It's all talk. It drives me crazy.
And I find myself doing the same thing, and that's why and not as far as not implementing principles, as far as seeing it. Let me correct that. As I'm saying, doing the same thing as far as implementing what I'm reading and what I'm seeing. So, for example, I did 75 hard, and I've talked about it on the podcast like 2 or 3 years ago now, and not that long ago because I'm pretty sure that's how we ended up with our second kid. But anyway, um, regardless. I only read books. I try to read 10 to 15 pages at a time when I read, and then I'll read it and then I'll read it again the next day sometimes, or I'll move on to the next 10 or 15 pages. The reason why I read that 10 to 15 pages is because I've found that if I go through and I read a book, like people are like, "Oh, I read this book this weekend." Read a whole 200-page book. Like, what the hell? Excuse my language, but what do you think you got out of that book binge reading for 2 days? Like, your mind can't even process that, can't even, go through the analysis and break down and implement what you've even read. So now when I go and I read, whatever book that I'm reading, I only try to read, like I said, 10 to 15 pages at a time because I really want to understand and see if it resonates with me, how I can implement that into my life. And people are just doing the do, and they're not doing the implementation. They're like, "Oh,
100%.
okay, I read the book."
Cool. On to the next book so I could check it off my list or post it on my social media.
Yeah, it's like, "Here, let me, putting in work today," and it's,
Right.
whatever, Tony Robbins or whatever, and it's
Something.
like, "Do you even know," whatever, insert, and it's like, "Do you even know what you read?"
What you read. Yeah, did
So
that settle with you? And, not to change subjects by any means, but as a leader and I have to train new agents, I've been creating a training process that I think should be hopefully a lot more effective because, like, imagine that I spend an hour teaching somebody something. Health Insurance 101. It's an hour-long training. They only heard 60 seconds of it.
mhm,
They can only regurgitate back maybe 20 seconds of it. You know what I mean? Like, if you read it one time, if you hear it one time, okay, cool, it registered for a second, but you don't know what you're talking about until you can teach it back to me.
correct.
That's when it's actually sunk in and you know what you're saying and now you can implement it. But I think that strategy that you use, I would love to try that because normally I just read a book 2 or 3 times and then I listen to it and I read it so I can get all the different,
Mhm.
but I like the 15-page thing. I'm going to try that.
I was very similar in your situation. A lot of it is acting by doing, more or less. So, we have a new medical records assistant in our office that helps, request medical records for cases and things. And she said, "I think I understand it." And I said, "Listen, draft 2 or 3 of them, send them to the case manager, have the case manager review it. She'll give you feedback. If they're good, you'll send them out. You'll figure out the process." I said, "A lot of times you're going to have to try and get feedback before you actually understand it. So don't tell me, 'Oh, okay, I understand it.'" That's when somebody gets taught something the first time and they're like, "Okay, I get it," and they're like so overly. That's what makes me the most nervous.
Yeah.
If you responded with, "Okay, I'm gonna create these drafts for you. I'm gonna get it to your review or my supervisor or whoever," and then go forward with the next steps, it makes me feel so much more comfortable. That means that you're willing to take feedback. That you're if you make a mistake, it's not a big issue. We can correct it and things move forward from there. I met your lovely assistant this morning, she was wonderful and said a lot of really nice things about you. So I told her I would try to help her get a raise. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So how do you figure out you have so many different things going on, massive sales, numerous agents, onboarding others, etc. How do you determine what tasks you should handle? And then how do you determine what tasks should maybe be delegated or something you shouldn't do?
Yeah, absolutely. We have different levels in our leadership team, so there's absolutely roles that everyone is supposed to be responsible for, but there was no handbook. You know what I mean? So it's been a lot of figuring it out. I like people to
Susie, you do this. Timmy, you do this.
right.
Follow up with me. Let me know. Yeah.
I also very much like people to play to their strengths because if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to do it really well. You're going to have your whole heart in it and you're going to care about what you're doing. And so maybe I've taken some time to look at my team and see, hey, who's really great at what? Who's good in front of an audience? Who's good at a mindset talk? Who's good at teaching systems? Let's plug and play you because yes, we all have different roles, but I don't really care what my title is. I want if the job is to get an agent to make 100,000 plus in their first year, we all have a role to play regardless of what our title is. And I think that that's something that's lost. Like even Aaliyah, she's my assistant on paper, but She's my business manager. She's my thought partner. She inspires me. She motivates me. That year that I wrote that 5.6 million, it would have been 100% impossible without her. There were times that I was tired and exhausted. And she's like, no, we got to fit one more appointment in. We got to make one more sale today. And I'm like, I hate you. Go away. Like, I have 30 seconds to pee. Can I have a break? She wouldn't let me have a break because we had a goal to hit. And that's the kind of people I want to surround myself with. But I care about her goals and her future and what she wants to do in the future. So that's usually lost on people. I forgot what your question was, but
It doesn't even matter.
okay,
No,
I
I'm just
think
kidding.
I
No,
know.
it was really about delegation. You handled it. I
Correct.
mean, I think uh, the biggest thing, and I've asked this question to a lot of people, different people, because I love talking about scale, because there's no one fits all. And how do you grow a company properly? I mean, I've become like semi obsessed with it and reading books, because obviously I want to grow my own business, but I want to maintain the culture, maintain the great product that we put out, taking care of clients, etc.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I continually heard or kind of put together through what everybody said is, to your point, is finding leadership that fits the strengths of the processes that you're trying to implement, accomplish, held accountable, etc. I had one girl that works for me. She's absolutely fantastic, and she originally was hired on to being a case manager. She was doing great, and we really need somebody. We were getting so many new cases in that I really needed somebody as an intake manager. And I said to her, do you want to be an intake manager? And she goes, I'm kind of a full case manager, but yeah, I would be interested in it. And she was a very good case manager. She's an absolute amazing intake manager. And I mean, we just found this really great fit for her, and she's just on it. I mean, takes ownership of it, owns those processes. It's her system. She's making it happen. And, on the other side of that, we have a fantastic closing manager. And all she does is the closings for, when the case is resolved and we get, bills paid and et cetera, and get the clients their money. She's in charge of that. And when you find the right people, like you said, that are passionate, understand the processes, like what they're doing, and have the abilities to succeed in it, that's how you scale. When you don't plug in the right people, that's when you have issues. If you have somebody that's in your marketing department that's really should be in the sales department, again, that's when you have, problems and don't have those synergies.
Yeah. When you do something you love, you never work a day in your life, right? That's what they say. And people love
I
what
love
they're
what I
good at.
do, but I feel like I work hard these days. So
Fair
yeah,
enough. Fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah. So,
Um,
but I agree. Yes.
if you love what you do, then it doesn't even feel like work half the time. So finding people to put them in the right seat, sometimes you don't get it right the first time, but that's when people have to know they have to try a little bit of everything. Like you said, hey, let's try being an intake manager, and maybe it could be a good fit, and they have to be open to that. So, but that's how we scale as well, because a day might go by and it's 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I didn't even realize it because I've just been in the flow,
Locked in.
locked
Yeah.
in. Exactly. And that's what you want your team to do too. And that's how you scale.
Correct. Correct. We talked a little bit before we started the episode about social media and how misleading it can be. So you are in a very, I would say, a very competitive space on social media, because a lot of people are, and that's in any space, but showing the flash and showing the glam and showing the good side of things and not really showing the hard work that goes into it. So how do you maintain or stay grounded as far as, showing people, hey, these are the fruits of the success that you can have, while making sure that you're illustrating the hard work that comes along with it. So how do you kind of preface that?
Yeah, I definitely think I could do a better job. I'm not gonna lie. Lately my social media has been more like, "Hey, I have a personal life again. I got married this year."
Oh,
And
fantastic! Yeah,
yeah,
congrats.
and I think one of my messages, thank you. My messages prior was like, "Hey, I work my ass off all day. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
And I have no time
we
for
say bad
love."
words. It's okay.
It's the realness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I don't have time for a social life. And everybody who follows me knows I can't wait to have kids. I don't have any yet, but it's like my biggest desire in life is to be a mom. And so now I've
It's
been
super fun and not all at the same time.
that's
No.
what they say.
Yeah, no. It's amazing and stuff, but yeah, it's interesting. Real quick, I gotta tell. So I walk into my son's room last night. It's like 9:30, and I'm like, dude, you should be sleeping. What's going on?
Right.
He goes, I got dinosaurs in my mouth. And I'm like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, how do I even be upset with that? Even though, so yeah,
I love
that's my
that.
kid story. So, but yeah, how do you stay grounded within social media and you want to be a mom and show those goals? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that my social media has been more of like, hey, I'm having a personal life now because I just worked so hard for the last 4 or 5 years. What I'm planning to do is like draw everybody back in and remind them, like, this is how many hours I worked a day for the last 5 years. And this is how much I invested into my business for it to grow. And this is how little time I spent with my family. I told them, deuces, I'll see you guys in a couple of years. Like, you have to make those sacrifices. So I'm going to get back on my shit because I need to make sure people know that. Because I think they see all the flash and they hear this message of, oh, multiple six figures. And it's like, no, but it's not going to just land in your lap. We have so much work to do. And even now, it was a couple months ago, I had a week where, believe it or not, I signed up a lawyer's team, a full office. It was like 14 employees.
Sweet.
And it was the most sales I had done in a week because I stopped really selling. I focused more on building the team. But I remember at the end of that week, I was completely exhausted. I'm like, oh my God. And I asked Aaliyah, I'm like, Aaliyah, we used to do this a day. We used to do 15 sales a day. I don't even know how I did that when I'm so tired now. And it's like, you really do. If you want to actually see that level of success, you have to lock in ways that, you can't even imagine. But people have to realize that that's the reality. Because right now, social media is, like you said, all flash. And people are buying their followers. It's so easy to spot that, right? It's so easy to see, like, okay, if your following is, 50, 60,000, and then your views, every single reel you post is the same number, just hovering a little bit, like, is that person the one you should listen to? Is that person you should follow? Probably not.
I see a lot of that, and the comments look the same. Like so I started looking at the comments because I know the comments have been, you'll see like the same like word with emojis and things like that, and just like random accounts, and I'm like, that's not,
No.
no, that's not legit. So
Yeah.
I started to notice the signs of like who's legit and who's that and
Yeah.
not, or you'll see somebody that's what I see is like conferences and stuff like that. People will see like and I don't stalk on people, but like you'll see somebody go to a conference, right? And they'll be like, I went to this conference, I met, all these people and stuff like that, and their followers only went up by 10.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like,
Something.
you know what I mean? So there's something, or you're not marketing right, or there's something going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of misleading things on social media. For me, you're gonna probably find that, and I'm very similar in the fact that it's not work-life balance, it's work-life integration.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta
There's no
do.
balance.
Yeah, if I gotta take a call on Saturday morning, I'll take a call. If I gotta do a depot prep Sunday night because we have a depot on Monday, we'll do the depot prep. Whatever, it's seven, the weekends mean nothing to me. Meaning, okay, maybe I take off a Tuesday afternoon and then because I'm working Saturday or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. So, but a lot of people are like, no, I gotta go to this football game, or I got a happy hour tonight, or I got this, or I can promise you, no, I can't remember a happy hour. I honestly can't. I don't know. Yeah, I can't even tell you. Like, I mean, I guess there were pictures and things like that I could look at, but like I could care less.
Yeah. It definitely helps that your wife is
But
a badass.
I can look at my bank account. Yeah,
Exactly.
I can do that. So
Yeah. Being new in the world of marriage, I'm obviously learning all the things and how to balance, right? But it's just communication at the end
all
of
it
the
is.
day. Everything in life.
Yeah, I mean, it's communication and transparency. It's
100%.
like and we're not, anything special, or it's years, and we still, have different opinions like any couple do. We don't really have blowouts or anything like that. I mean, we have disagreements, but most of the time it gets worked out, pretty quickly. I just tend to give in now. No, I'm just kidding.
Happy
Um,
wife, happy life.
yeah. I'm just like, man, is it really, So, I think really transparency about, who you are. And I say this not to you, but I say it to anybody that's, getting in a relationship or looking to go the distance as far as like what your goals are and not being afraid to discuss that. Like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this. Hey, I want to do this, this, and this. Well, maybe we're too far apart. You know what I mean? Maybe I have this goal and you have that goal, and I think you're an incredible person, but this is not going to go the distance. So people are afraid to have that conversation.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people aren't willing to do those deep things, right? Like really self-assess, what do I want? What makes sense for me? Am I just having a person because I want to have a person? And I'm
It's easy. Yeah.
right, and I'm divorced,
Yeah.
and my whole what happened there is, I thought that I was supposed to have someone checking all these specific boxes, and I realized that I had no depth with that person,
Hmm.
and there wasn't any true understanding or love. And I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but like they weren't my person and I wasn't their person, and that was obvious. So it's like you could have all the boxes checked off that of what you think someone should have, but there's so much more beneath. And now I'm with my soulmate, the
That's
person
wonderful.
which I never, I'd always dreamt of, but kind of gave up on at one point. So people need to just like not do something because they think they have to do something. Like take your time, find the right person because it can matter all the difference in the world in your life.
I mean, I think that has a ton to do with my success. I mean, if I was, you know, dealing with somebody that I was always arguing with or always, having disagreements with or in a bad mood or this or that or, oh, we got in an argument yesterday and she didn't, text me yesterday, or, if we in the dating world and things like that or, oh, whatever crap,
Oh yeah.
super distracting from the business and a lot of things and the goals that you want to accomplish, health goals, whatever, you eat like crap. Oh, I don't feel like going to the gym now because I'm in a bad mood, et cetera, et cetera. You've reached so many milestones. We've talked about you just crushing it. How do you keep pushing yourself?
Yeah. It's important to, they always say start with your why. I think for me, my future, obviously I mentioned having children, little mini me's to help me, save the world. My therapist says I have a savior complex
Mhm.
where I'm just trying to fix all the things all the time. And
I'm a fixer. Yeah.
yep. And you can't do it by yourself. So having a little squad will help. But, for me, I just want to be able to affect one life at a time, and help people be better. If you're better, if you look at all the problems of the world, right? All the people that are causing issues, usually it goes back to something that happened maybe in their childhood. And,
Mhm.
if we can create people that can be great parents, raise great kids, have morals, have a compass, and have integrity, that's lost a lot these days. And I think so much of it has to do with social media. So much of it has to do with what's going on in the world and the sensitivity.
Securing the bag.
The
Yeah.
bag, like
Yeah.
there's great. Money's cool. Your bank
Yeah.
account's great. My bank account's great. Even if I didn't have it, I wouldn't change who I am as a person. Most people change the minute they taste a little bit of that success.
What do they say? Money shows who you really are, were, or something like that, or who you really are, something like that.
I
So,
believe that 100%.
yeah.
And I've seen it. When I got into this space and I started to make a certain kind of money, I thought I had to look a certain type of way, drive a certain car, because people were looking at me sideways if I didn't. So I bought into all the, the designer and the bullshit. And hey, my designer heels are broken and my regular heels that I got from Aldo or Express are working. So you tell me if the money is worth it. So people put on that facade that they have to be this type of way and then they have to walk around like they're more powerful than you and they look at people like they're this small based on their bank account. Why? What makes this person better than you? What makes me better than them? Absolutely nothing. We're all humans at the end of the day. And guess what? When I die, my shit's not coming with me. I came into this world alone. I'm going to leave this world alone. So what matters? The impact that I leave behind, the people that I'm able to affect. If I make someone's life better, one person's life better, then it was worth it. And I
Mhm.
think that's what keeps me going.
That's wonderful. I want to go. I want to dive into that because I
Please.
always do a little bit with the crazy spending, and I tell these kids that, these early 20s that are getting those, hitting those 10, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 months. I'm like, please, please save your money.
Yeah.
Do not buy, it may end or you may have an illness or you may have, that's why you get health insurance,
Hey.
but, it may end tomorrow. So, please save your money. Like the $15,000 a month penthouse and the $5,000 a month car payments and all that crazy stuff, like that's fine. Make sure you have some money set aside. Make sure
Yeah.
you're being smart with your money. And the biggest thing that I think people, at least a car you can sell, hopefully a lease you can get out of in a year, with the leasing of a crazy place. The biggest thing is the designer crap and the clothes and things. And I fell into it too, 100%. Like I fell into it. I was wearing, Louis Vuitton Don and, all that and the loafers and the shoes and the belts and the suits. And, yeah, my jeans are today Ralph Lauren jeans that I got on sale during the tax-free holiday for $80. So
Love it.
you know what I mean? So that's the thing at the end of the day. There's no problem, and I don't bash having nice things at all. Just make sure you can absolutely afford them, and you have a game plan, and you're putting some of that money away, and save for taxes.
And taxes, don't
Ooh.
get me started.
40 points. I just tell everyone. I know it's 37 or this or that. Just forget about 40% of your money.
Love the taxes. No, but I agree with you completely. And like I said, I drank the Kool-Aid and all the things. I'm not going to lie. If you're passionate about something, you love your cars, and that's great.
I do.
I love my Porsche. I'm never giving her up, but I'm selling my house. I'm selling it because it's too big.
Mhm.
and it's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't need a house that big, and I thought I did, and maybe it was me thinking that I had to do it because of the position that I am and who I am in this company, that I thought I had to buy something big,
How
but
big's your house?
it's like almost 5,000 square
Yeah.
feet, like.
And were you alone? Were you there just
Yep.
you? Oh my god, that's so rad.
I'm like, "Oh, I'll buy a house, I'll write off the taxes, the interest it's a good
Yeah.
write-off," and
Yeah.
then I look at this, 3 of those bedrooms are not touched.
Yeah.
Every single bedroom is the size of a living room.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to fill the space.
That's super cool.
I got an interior designer to help me fill it, and then, I haven't bought anything yet because
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, I think this is just too big." It's so silly for me, but invest your
The
money,
fur rugs
guys.
are nice. No, the faux fur rugs are very nice.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
nice
all
ones.
day.
Yeah.
But yeah, invest your money, having it sit in a bank account and accrue 0.1% interest or whatever it is useless. So, but it's hard to find a good financial advisor that you can trust. And, I found out that I had signed up for, what's it called? A life insurance policy. And the guy that signed me up for it was making $1,500 a month off of that.
That's so wild. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
I said to I have a really good guy, and everybody says they have a guy, but my guy, I'm pretty savvy for the most part, and my guy said, "Listen, dude, I don't need to be wealthy. I just rich is fine." So
yeah.
and these you see these people, 25-30%, they're like, oh, I crush the market, and then the next year they're down 40%. It's like taking these risks. I said, dude, if I can hit consistently 8 to 12% for the rest of my life, I am happy as can be. Like, I don't
Agreed.
need to hit these like crazy. And I think that's what a lot of these financial folks is they're like, oh, I can get, 25% returns and stuff. And it's like, that's super cool. But I'd be much more comfortable if you told me like a win is like 16. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I think we're fed like through social media, a lot of this false narrative of like, I need this crazy place and I need this and I need that and I need all these things. I live in a 2,600 square foot house with 2 kids, not because I couldn't afford some mammoth thing. We're fine and we're comfortable. We're never home. We're never
That.
home. We're all over the place, or this person's going here, that person's going there, et cetera. So, and I'm especially like, basically it's a hotel. I sleep there and, hang out with my kids on the weekends, but, my wife, but obviously other than that, it's, on the go. We talked about it a little bit. How important is it to dress the part, dress to impress?
Yeah. I definitely think it's important for people to feel good. And so how you look in the morning when you look in the mirror, you're like, hey, look at that, that's great. But I do think that professionalism is lacking. And I even look at what the kids wear these days. When I was 12 years old or 13 years old, my outfits were mismatched. I looked like a goober. They were baggy. Kids these days, I can't tell what their age is anymore because they're covered in makeup. They're wearing tiny little clothes that you wouldn't even catch me dead wearing. But even in the workplace, there is such a lack of professionalism that I'm seeing, and I think people need to reassess what they're doing because you need to be taken seriously. You need to take yourself a little bit more seriously. And if you want to carry yourself in a way that people are paying attention to what you look like versus what's going on in your brain, I mean, that's what's going to follow suit. So I think it's really, really important. And you could walk in with a hoodie and yes, you're comfortable, but are you going to perform as well as you could? And okay, you talk about like Zuckerberg or whoever, and they're all comfortable, and they're not wearing suits regularly, and that's fine. But that's a whole different ball game, I think. So I don't know.
Listen, if you're comparing yourself to Zuck, like you'd need to like check yourself, right?
Correct.
The dude's worth like $180 billion or something like
Yeah.
ridiculous. I mean, he could show up to work naked at this point, deal with the lawsuits, and still have $1 billion. So I'm
Yeah.
not suggesting that, by the way.
Right.
But and that is legal advice. Don't show up to work naked. But yeah, it's so funny. I want to capitalize on that. They throw out the Zuckerbergs and the Bezos and the Tim Cooks and stuff like that. It's like, you didn't even make 100 grand last year. Like,
Right.
what?
Who are you?
Yeah, like what are you talking about as far as like, giving any type of advice? Like you need to kind of check yourself and compare yourself to somebody that's a little close to your circle before we're talking about the Zucks and the Bezos and things like that.
But also don't overdo it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, don't be trying so hard to focus on the way that you look that's the main thing that you want, right? Some people overdo it and some people underdo it. There's a middle balance. Just be a good person. Don't walk around like you're at the club. It's that simple.
I mean, I have offices in different, different areas and I dress, for different areas. Obviously, if I had a meeting in downtown Tampa, I would be in a full suit. Whereas if I had a meeting in Pasco County, not because those people don't deserve full suit Kevin, but, it's a little bit more casual of a community. So, a jacket is fine or even, jeans and a jacket, it's a little bit, more relaxed. certain areas of Pinellas, one might be a little bit different than the other. So, I think you have to dress for your audience and dress for the area that you're in.
Agreed.
I ask this on every podcast, and it is a big question, so be ready. When did you feel successful?
I still haven't yet.
Yeah?
Do you get that
Okay.
answer a lot?
I get that a lot, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so the example I always give, and to kind of help people is when I felt like I could go to any restaurant with my wife and order whatever we wanted. So I didn't have to look at the bill. I was just like, okay,
I
you know.
love that.
So
I mean, there's definitely moments where I've been, feeling that proud of myself. And most of it has to do with my family, like, helping the parents buy a home,
that's
buying
really
mom a
cool.
car. I sent my parents to Europe for a whole month, and that was an all expense paid thing. And, seeing them be happy and reconnect and have time for themselves after a job well done of raising your kids. I think that those are things that I really take a lot of pride in. But I still think I have a long way to go. And the crazy part is I think I will be most successful when I do have children. I think that to me is going to be such an accomplishment because then my real challenge begins. There are a lot of ways that people can make money these days. There's a lot of businesses that people can create, but to create a life and then to do right by them and build them into good people, that is probably the hardest job that anybody could ever have. And that is when I know when I do that and I see my kids are good people, that'll be success, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree with that on the family side. I think now more than ever with all of the distractions is, you have so many, I guess mitigating factors that are contributing that you're trying to like keep away from your kids and we struggle with it all the time where we're like, well, do we talk about those things or get ahead of it or we do, are we proactive? Are we reactive? And I think we just take it situationally. But it's a time. It's a time. I think the best explanation I've heard recently about success is it's momentary,
Yeah.
for people that are truly successful. So it's like, maybe you crushed a big deal and you feel that good after that afternoon, and then the next day you're back to the grind. Or maybe, one of your agents, crushed a deal or did a great job, everybody does a celebratory lunch and then it's back to the grindstone that afternoon. So
Yeah.
I think for people that are truly successful and that are great goal seekers and goal reachers, it's a fleeting moment and then on to the next thing.
Yeah. Did you ever read the book Winning by Tim Grover?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, it's one of those books that I'm always preaching because for someone who's a high performer or who wants to achieve a certain level of success, they kind of nail it. And Tim specifically talks about all the athletes that he coached and what it takes for them, and literally what you said. It's like you're successful for a moment, but then it's on to the next, and then success can be taken from you by somebody else if you're in a competitive environment. And maybe success is finding peace with what you have and what you're doing and how every moment of your life is spent. Otherwise, if you're chasing something that's always going to run away from you, I mean, that's different. So I feel like if I could find some peace and still feel like I'm contributing, maybe that'll feel like success.
Yeah, and I think that we hit on that earlier. I think the piece, first of all, I want to, you want to make sure, I wanted to say first that you're not chasing ghosts either. You're not chasing these, false gods of
Correct.
nonsense. It's like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to buy my dream car and, I've done it. It's awesome. I mean, it's really cool, but it's not everything. It's not
Correct.
completely fulfilling or anything like that. There's still a glass half full and then some kind of syndrome. I think it's, multiple things going in together. And then there's some big milestones, like you've talked about having kids, growing people and team members and things like that. So it's a development. I think, you can't until we get in our 70s, 80s, 90s, if AI takes over 150, it's something that we probably can't even judge until we look back that much time. And it's like, dude, we'd really do it. The guy that sells this company for $100 million, is he really successful? Could be, but, if he doesn't have anybody to share it with, other than, a bunch of false friends,
Right.
how successful was he or she?
Correct. And I don't ever want to wake up one day with regrets.
Yeah,
Like, I wish
of
this,
course.
I wish that, and I think that's important for people because if you do, that means you didn't do what you wanted to do with your time or you wish that you had lived your life differently. That's like my biggest fear is to wake up one day regretting that I didn't get to do what I really wanted to do. So if I can create a life where I'm able to, if I want to visit places, if I want to, work somewhere or try something different, I just want to create opportunity like that for me.
I said, and I want to say this as tastefully as possible, not to sound, you could use this in a lot of different bad senses. So, I never wanted anybody to say no to me though.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing for me, like, meaning, like, if I wanted to, like you said, go to Europe, I'd go to Europe. If I wanted to go buy this, I wanted to go do that within reason, obviously, but
Sure.
I wanted to be able to, and, that's probably the true marker of success is being able to do what you wanna do when you wanna do it. I wanna go to work that day. I don't wanna go to work that day because I don't have to,
Freedom.
etcetera. Yes, of course.
That's all we want.
What's next for you?
So in my career developmental phase is I'm really trying to scale. I quality over quantity. I don't want 100 million agents. I want strong agents that all my resources can go to the right people, because we do provide a lot of support. So I do want to build from the team perspective. I want to feel inspired again, and I don't know if you feel this way, Kevin, but I can't remember the last time I heard an original thought.
Yeah. Well, go on social media. You'll hear it quite no, I'm just kidding.
It's just regurgitating this version versus that. And so I am desperate for some inspiration. And I feel like between trying to find it in books or podcasts, like I've not been able to find it. And so I think that what's next for me is finding that somehow. And I don't know the answer of what that looks like.
I think you'll find it within your kids.
Yeah.
And many blessings and well wishes that process goes amazing and you guys have some healthy kiddos and you seem like you're going to be a fantastic mom just talking to you. When you start seeing through things, and especially like my son, like everything is he's just stoked on everything. Like it's the coolest and it's like the silliest things. Like, I mean, a Happy Meal toy, a donut. Like he had we got him his first donut. We sound like bad parents. Leave me alone. We got my wife got him the donut.
Yeah.
But she sent me pictures, and I mean, like the look in his face of just like
Pure
eating,
joy.
like, yeah, it was like the coolest thing ever, or Spider-Man, or what. So I think you'll find a lot of
Yeah.
inspiration from that. The inspiration, weirdly enough, has to come from in, and you almost have to like talk to yourself like every day that, I'm going to find happiness through what I'm projecting to the world. And that's really the thing that keeps me going. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to, no matter what comes, because like I said, I'm constantly putting out fires, constantly have things, coming my way. I still have to maintain professionalism and project a certain persona and find that by the work that I'm doing, I'm inspiring myself.
Yeah.
So, which is hard.
I need to fall in love with the work again and
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, because we work so hard too. It's just like, when do you have that self-reflection period? Because I'm just going. So
yeah, that's so true.
there's no wrong way to do it,
Yeah. I know I'd had this idea of starting a company last year, specifically catered to educating women and building leaders. And we talk about how, and it alludes to exactly kind of what you said. It's the name of the company is Everything She Needs,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
fabulous.
dot dot dot. It's you.
Yeah.
Like what we need is literally within us. We don't need to look to somebody else to fill those gaps. We just have to find it within. But as I talk about it, it's like I got to do what I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
tell people, and it's so easy for me to forget that. And that'll definitely be something on the horizons for me too. So look out for that. But yeah, I think you're right. It's within us.
Go through, and I do it every once in a while, go through your own social media feed and through eyes like you are not, it's not you.
Yeah.
And, you go through and you see those milestones and you see those success and you see those triumphs. And then you remember the real stories behind those photos and those videos and things. And it's like, maybe I wasn't having a good day that day, maybe, but I posted this anyway. And, and I pushed through. And, I think you can use your own kind of content and your own self to kind of inspire with what you were saying. I'm sure we're not, the only ones that sometimes don't feel as inspired as we should with all the good things going on. At least we're smart enough, and that's part of the problem in the world is finding these false gods. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like, well, if I'm going through something bad, then I need to find somebody that's going to tell me how to push through it.
Yeah. Motivational video on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I need to
God.
go to this person, and sometimes they find good actors, and sometimes they found bad actors, and I think the biggest thing is you have to look at yourself, and say, no, I need to tell myself to pick myself up. And sometimes we all need help, of course. Hopefully, people get more confident, like you said, and they keep pushing through. So, with that, we are going to wrap up this episode where I'm going to put them in the bio, of course, but where can people find you?
Yeah,
Your
mostly
links.
on
Yep.
social media. Instagram is my main thing right now. Eventually, I'll get into TikTok, but my social media account, it's me Parita. That's the best way to find me. And if you ever wanted to book a call, or whether it's to talk about insurance or maybe the career opportunity, all of that is available on my account.
Sounds great. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you,
Thank you
Kevin.
so much. And we will see you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.